So the angles inside a triangle will always add up to 180 degrees, just like a linear pair or a line or a group of angles that form a straight angle. Triangles also form 180 degrees when you look at all the angles together. Okay, and so if we look at something like this first triangle, notice I have two of the angles given. I want to find that third angle. I want to find the measure of angle A. And so there's two ways that you can approach this. We can add up what we have so far. So far we have 65 degrees worth of angles. So if I add up what's here, I get 65 degrees. And then maybe you could just look at this and say, okay, what do I have to add to that to get 180? Well, the mathematical approach to that is to just subtract, okay? And if we subtract these two things, I get 115 degrees, all right? The other option is to start subtracting right out of the gate. You could just say, hey, I've got 180. That's what it's supposed to be. But I already have a 30-degree angle, so let me take that away. I also already have a 35-degree angle. Let me take that away, all right? And so you can kind of subtract it in pieces here and say, okay, 180 minus 30 is 150, and then subtract the 35 from the 150 and get the 115, okay? So either one of these is acceptable, but make sure you go back and check it. You know, if it's... if you've got a 115 here, grab your calculator and do 115 plus the 30 plus the 35 and make sure it adds up to 180. And if it doesn't, that means we would have made a mistake somewhere in our subtraction, okay? So the measure of angle A for this one, 115 degrees, okay? If I look at the next one, same kind of thing. These need to add up to 180. Right now, when I add those together, it looks like I have 103 degrees worth of angles. So if I want 180, I take the 180 minus the 103 degrees, which is what I have with these two added together, okay? Or you can just take the 180, subtract the 26, and then subtract the 77 from the value you just got, and kind of just subtract it in pieces here. That would be acceptable as well. And so if I subtract this, it looks like it gives me a 77-degree angle. And it's okay for two of these angles to be the same. That's perfectly acceptable. As long as all three angles add up to the 180. And again, you know, check it on your calculator. These are going to add up. Okay, so the measure of angle B also is 77 degrees. In this next one of those angles isn't really written, but as soon as I see that little symbol of that square in the corner, that means that is a right angle, which means this is a 90-degree angle, okay? And so as I kind of look at this thing, I can say, okay, so far the angles I have add up to 122 degrees. Then I do the 180 minus the 122, okay? Or once again, the other option is to do the 180 minus the 90 degrees, which gives you 90, and then subtract the 32 degrees, which gives you a 58, okay? Either way is acceptable, but we want to take these away from 180, all right? Because they need to all add up to 180. If I start with 180 and start subtracting, it should tell me what I need in terms of, as I subtract, whatever's left over is whatever that last angle has to be. So the measure of angle C is 58 degrees. And again, plug it into the calculator, okay? Now that we know this third angle, add all three of those together, make sure it works, okay? It takes a couple seconds to double check it. And then if I look at this one, once again, I have two of the angles. If I were to add those together, that's 120. So now I could do the 180 minus the 120, or again, subtract it in pieces. Do the 180 minus 60, that gives you a 120, and then subtract another 60, that gives you a 60 degrees, okay? So now I know all three of these angles are 60 degrees, which again, it's okay for some of the angles to be the same if that's the way it works out. And again, I can easily check this by plugging it back in. 60 plus 60 plus 60 does equal the 180 degrees, okay? So the three angles inside a triangle should always add up to 180 degrees.